Good evening and thanks for joining us here at City News Winnipeg. I'm Mitchell Ringos reporting live from the Forks, where as you can see, many have come out to celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day, where just a few hours ago, a grand entry took place right here that saw Indigenous leaders and city staff partake to recognize the struggles and successes Indigenous people have faced in Canada over the generations on the path towards reconciliation. Currently, there's some live music being played behind me that will stick around until 9 p.m., but earlier in the day, another gathering took place that saw history in the making unfold.
It's about naming the main arteries in our cities under the First Nations name, and I think it's going to resonate across Canada.
While many gathered at the Forks for National Indigenous Peoples Day to recognize and celebrate the history, heritage, resilience, and diversity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, another ceremony was held to mark the official renaming of Bishop Grandin to Abinojii Mikanah. Starting with a grand entry involving elders, city staff, and the surrounding community, Mayor Scott Gillingham announced the tremendous milestone which honors the experiences of Indigenous residential and day school survivors and the children who didn't make it home.
It's an affirmation of our commitment to the preservation of Indigenous languages and cultures for future generations.
Many residential school survivors were in attendance to see history being made, including Elder Betty Ross, who attended the St. Joseph Residential School, also known as Cross Lake Residential School, for 6 years, starting in 1951.
They told me, "You hush up. Your language is filthy. You don't matter."
Elder Betty recounting on her years spent in residential schools, saying she wouldn't have survived the trauma and abuse if it wasn't for her father's teachings and warnings about the dark times ahead.
What he said was, those systems will literally try to crucify you for who you are. And I didn't understand anything because I was only 5 years old. But I went through those 4 systems, and it was true.
Sandy Bay First Nation Chief Trevor Prince says much was lost because of residential schools, including their languages, due to fears of what would happen to them if they were caught speaking it or teaching it, saying to this day it is still under threat.
Today, we're renaming one of the biggest streets in Winnipeg. And to me, that I'm very, very proud that it's being renamed to something in our language.